Hey guys, welcome back to another episode of the Everything Sports Podcast here on YouTube. We are here on this Wednesday, October 7th, as the NHL season begins tonight and the MLB postseason wildcard games are in full swing. Last night, American League wildcard game between the Astros and the Yankees. Astros pick up the 3-0 win against the Yankees in big part to the pitching from Dallas Keuchel. So I know you guys watched the game, and so did I. What did you guys think of that game last night?
Jack?
Um, well, I thought it was a really good game. I mean, I watched just about all of it, and the pitching was just outstanding by Dallas Keuchel, and I mean, New York just couldn't do anything. Eventually, near the end of the game, I noticed that every time a player got out on their team, they just started booing them. It's kind of sad.
Yeah.
Even just bad sportsmanship towards your own team, but it was a really good game, and Houston had just played good, and I was happy to see one of my favorite players from the Twins a while ago, Carlos Gomez, hit a solo shot, but it was a very good game.
Yeah, like Jack said, the pitching was really great. No runs scored by the Yankees, and you would think that the Yankees would have some sort of advantage at home, but like Jack said again, they really weren't very happy with them when they lost. So I think that the Yankees, now that they're out, New Yorkers got to root for the Mets. So
Yeah.
we'll see the turnout to that game, that series, against the Dodgers, and really great job by the Astros. Not sure how they're gonna fare against the Royals, but really good job by the Astros.
Yeah, and for me, I also watched the full game. It was a really good game. Obviously, Dallas Keuchel, lights out pitching. It's tough for the Yankees when you've got a guy who's got 20 wins on the season on the mound. So, Astros obviously did well too. Offensively, they were able to get on Tanaka early in the game. Other than a few miscues, Tanaka I thought did really well as well. And then with Keuchel, he was spot on with his pitching. He was painting the corners really good with his strikes and hit a lot of strikeouts too. Only I believe 3 hits allowed. So obviously a
Yeah.
great performance there from Keuchel. And now with the Astros, they got some time to prepare. Actually, today's their only off day, but to prepare for the Royals, that series begins on Thursday, tomorrow. Game 1 is in Kansas City. I think it's Giordano Ventura, and I'm not sure who's going for the Astros game 1. I think it's either McHugh or Scott Kazmir. But, for the Astros, just going to be a tough thing here. Yes, they're a good offensive team, but Royals have got good pitching, and with the Astros, they have to get some other good arms in there if they want to win that series.
Yeah, and I don't know if you guys noticed the closer at the end for the Astros, Gregerson. Gosh, was he pitching? He had 2 strikeouts, but I mean, they were just phenomenal strikeouts. I mean, he would come in and he would throw, 2 maybe split finger fastballs and then just end a guy on a, slider. I saw A-Rod come up and, it's 2 split finger fastballs just catching, corners and edges of a strike zone. Then he threw one, meatball outside. A-Rod didn't go for it, and then he throws a slider outside, and A-Rod completely just falls for it. I mean, it's impressive right there. So it was pretty good save right there by Gregerson.
Yeah, and with Gregerson, last year he actually also pitched in the AL wildcard game when he was a member with the Oakland Athletics. And it was kind of the opposite for him last year. He came in late in the game when the A's had a lead in the 9th. And he pitched very poorly in that game, and that was one of the reasons why they lost that AL wildcard game last year. Many would call that game the best postseason game of all time, and it was certainly entertaining to watch, even though my team, the Athletics, lost. It was certainly a fun game last year to watch, but Gregerson, like you said, he was lights out when he came in for Sip, I believe, was the other relief pitcher for Houston. But Gregerson certainly turning things around from last year's AL wildcard game performance.
Yeah.
What do you got to say about that, Avery?
I just had to say that the Astros, they've just been really good, and I think they have a legitimate chance against the Royals, and sort of
Me
like
too.
Matt was saying, it was very all about pitching, and the Royals will have big bats, so they're gonna have to really pitch like they did last night.
Yeah, and one move I thought not so smart by the Yankees is they did not start Jacoby Ellsbury,
Yeah, I
and
was gonna touch on that.
here
Go ahead, but
here
yeah.
is the one reason they did it. They had their backup center fielder though happened to be one of the best hitters against left-handers on their team, so they had him start so that he could go against Dallas Keuchel. But I mean, he really didn't do too much. But then there's also Brett Gardner had a tough night. He went 0 for 4 and 3 strikeouts. But I'm still a bit, just it's weird to think that Jacoby Ellsbury couldn't even get the start. So
Yeah, that's a guy who's been getting paid millions of dollars, and a lot of Yankees fans were not happy. Um, it was obviously a little bit of a shock to see Ellsbury not in there, but like you said, it was a tough night at the plate for a lot of these Yankees hitters. Who'd you say it was that had 3 strikeouts? Can't remember off the top of my head.
I'm sorry, what'd you say?
Who was the guy who had 3 strikeouts again?
Oh, it was actually two, but it was Gregerson, the closer, had 2 strikeouts to end
I
off
meant
the
hitters
game.
for the Yankees.
Oh, that was Brett Gardner.
Yeah, Brett Gardner. Sorry, he was the leadoff man for New York. Obviously, a frustrating
Yeah.
night. He was getting booed towards the end of the game. So, but yeah, I think that'll conclude our talk with the AL wildcard. So let's shift our focus to the National League wildcard game, which is actually going on right now. It's 1-0 Cubs in the top of the third, runner on first for Chicago. But what do you guys, not really of the game, but who do you think is going to come out on top in this game? And actually, Cubs just hit a 2-run home run, so
Oh wow.
it's 3-0 Cubs. Kyle Schwarber just hit a 3-run. He bombed that 2-run. Sorry,
I
but
was about to say maybe Pittsburgh could come out with a comeback, but it looks like Cubs already got an early 3-0 lead. But Pittsburgh's still a good team, and you got to respect them because they got guys like Andrew McCutchen, definitely a big favorite player and just all of baseball. But so far tonight, I must say this hasn't looked that great because at least on Kyle Schwarber's at bat, he called 2 balls that were strikes and a strike that was a ball. But besides that, it was just so far, I just say I gotta go with the Cubs winning this one.
yeah, I predicted the score to be 2-1 Cubs, so looks like I'm already wrong with that. But yeah, Cubs are looking really well to get a win off another 19-18 win guy. So looking really good for the Cubs already. They've got their ace on the mound to get in 3 runs in 3 innings against Garrett Cole is pretty impressive. So this is a good start for the Cubs right now. Still picking them to win this game and play against the Cardinals in the NLDS.
Yeah, I mean, it was foretold in Back to the Future Part 2, so that the Cubs would win the World Series. I mean, it was a joke, but now if they win this, it could be legit, and we'll see what happens with the Cubs faring in the playoffs.
Yeah, the Cubs have already looked very good early on. I mean, Dexter Fowler, he's a leadoff man. He's got 2 hits and 2 runs. He's came in to score twice at his at bats, and Kyle Schwarber, he's also 2 for 2 with a run of his own and that 3-run bomb. But he also had an RBI earlier in the game as well. But Jake Arrieta pitching a pretty good game so far, 2 innings. He was only he's got 3 strikeouts, then only has let up 1 hit. So far, Cubs looking good.
Yeah, Fowler, I believe, came over at the trade deadline from
Rockies maybe?
Yeah, Rockies. Yep. I can't remember who the Rockies acquired from him off the top of my head, but yeah, he's helped out a little bit. He's more their leadoff guy. Got some speed, so he can steal some bases for the Cubs. And right now, Garrett Cole not off to a very good start, and he just walked. I can't. Chris Bryan, I think. So
yeah.
He's already looking like he's having a tough time out there. Not really what I was expecting. Looks like they're going to the bullpen now. So
Yeah, already in the third inning. That's really interesting. Okay, so we know who's most likely gonna advance to the AL and NL um, uh, division series. Now we're gonna talk about who is gonna win some major awards, including the Cy Young and MVP for both divisions. Matt, what are your predictions on that?
well, for the AL Cy Young, I thought it was going to be Dallas Keuchel, and last night even told me more. So Dallas Keuchel, this guy's won 21 games this season. Um, just incredible how well this guy's done this year. And there really, I don't think to me is any other AL pitcher that is even close compared to the NL where you've got a group of 3 or 4 good quality pitchers right around 20 wins. But Dallas Keuchel, to me, has proved he is no doubt the AL Cy Young candidate. And for the NL, um, obviously a lot of people at this point would think Jake Arrieta, but I'm going to go with Zach Greinke of the Dodgers. This guy's another 21 guy. I think he's 20-3 this year or something around there, but he is going to start in Game 2 for the division series against the Mets. So Zach Greinke, this guy is another consistent guy who's kept an under 2 ERA. His record is 19-3 actually, 1.66 ERA. So just an incredible pitcher for the Dodgers. They've got 2 aces there. Zach Greinke has proved a little bit more year-long numbers than Arrieta, but it's just going to come down to who can pitch better in the postseason. And right now, Arrieta's looking good on the mound. Only 1 hit allowed through 2. So, yeah, looking good for Arrieta, but it's just going to come down to who pitches better in the postseason.
Yeah, it's definitely tough to tell for the AL Cy Young. I totally agree with you, Dallas Keuchel. I mean, he's just a really good pitcher, and I mean, like you said, coming off that 20-win season, he's definitely showed up big this year for the Houston Astros. So right there, I totally agree with you. For a while I thought about it, and I definitely, was thinking Max Scherzer, at some points of the season, but I mean, just looking at how he did, it's not quite as good compared to Zach Greinke. Like you said, I'm looking at his stats, and Greinke's got just way better, just stats overall. So I completely agree with you on the Cy Young. So
Yeah, I gotta say the same thing. Dallas Keuchel has just been amazing, and he proved how good he is last night with that great win over the Yankees. And I also gotta go with Zach Greinke for the NL. He's just pitched great. Clayton Kershaw he's doing good, but Greinke's just been doing better, and I think that's really what's gonna put Greinke apart from Kershaw and Arrieta.
yeah, but one thing I don't know if this is a bold prediction or not, but to be honest, I almost want to say for that NL MVP, I almost want to go with Bryce Harper this year. I mean,
Yeah, I'd agree.
this kid is turned into something. I mean, he was, and I think I said this, maybe a couple podcasts ago. I'm not entirely sure, but I even said, he was projected to be like a Joe Mauer, but just with way more power, and he's turned in just like that, but almost better than Joe Mauer, especially now. But I gotta go with him, definitely over the Nationals, excuse me, just definitely over anyone else there in that NL.
Yeah.
What do you guys think of the AL MVP?
I kind of actually, like Josh Donaldson. He showed up big this year with a 40 home run plus season, and he had 297 batting average and 123 RBIs. I gotta go with Josh Donaldson, or well, you know what? Actually, yeah, I'd say Josh Donaldson. That's about all I got.
I'd agree with Donaldson too. This is probably one of the players the A's wish they would not have traded away, like Cespedes too, who, Cespedes at the end of last year when he got traded to Boston went into a slump. In the first half this year when he went into a slump, and then when he got traded to the Mets, everything kind of came together for him. And Donaldson, yeah, they just couldn't keep him on contract, but it's a guy who hit 40 home runs this year, so definitely AL MVP worthy. Mike Trout could certainly also be up there as well, but to me, Josh Donaldson is there too. And with the NL, I completely agree. Bryce Harper is a runaway in the NL of that.
Yeah, I think a lot of people either Josh Donaldson or Mike Trout, and I just think it's who had the better record, like what team won more, and that was Josh Donaldson team, the Blue Jays. So I think that he is probably the front runner for this race, and then. There's just in going to rookie of the year, it's just so one sided. I mean, both teams
Oh,
are
Correa. I gotta go with Correa in this one.
yeah,
Can I
both
just say something about that NL or the AL? Correa is good, and he will certainly be nominated for it. But there's a guy who some of you may know, but he has been overlooked a lot because his team is not in the playoffs and they weren't really in it for the final stretch. And that's Francisco Lindor, shortstop for the Cleveland Indians. This guy really came alive throughout the rest. A 313 average, very impressive. He made a huge impact. Cleveland was in it till about the final week, and one of the main reasons why was because of Francisco Lindor. He got called up in June, and he made a huge impact. So I think Lindor or, like Jack said, Carlos Correa, one of those two will win that. Other guys up there in consideration, a couple of Minnesota Twins players, Miguel Sano, boy, he helped the Twins out a ton this year, and Eddie Rosario too. But Francisco Lindor or Carlos Correa, I think one of those two will be the AL Rookie of the Year.
Yeah, and for NL, I think you definitely gotta lean sort of towards Chris Bryant. I mean, this team has just been so good, and that's sort of due to him. Well, not entirely due to him, but he's played a big role in the Cubs winning and even
Yeah.
getting to the wild card.
Yeah, he's lived up to those expectations when he got called up in April, so it's good to see. All right, guys, we are going to take a quick break here, and when we come back, we will be talking about the NHL season, which begins tonight with 4 games. We'll take a break and come right back. Hey guys, welcome back to the Everything Sports Podcast. We are now going to shift our attention to the NHL season, which has already begun tonight, as we are doing a little bit later podcast tonight. But there are 4 games tonight. The first game was Montreal and Toronto. Next game is New York and Chicago, which is also going on right now. And then we have Vancouver, Calgary. And then we have San Jose and Los Angeles. So, guys, NHL season is getting underway. Blackhawks are going to try and defend the Cup this year. What are your guys' thoughts on the NHL season? Who are your picks to win the Cup?
Well, if you don't mind, if I just do a quick run through of predictions, I just want to ask guys real quickly, who do you got tonight between Montreal and Toronto?
I'm gonna have to go with Montreal on that one. You look at the gaps between these teams. Carey Price, incredible goaltender, and Toronto, Mike Babcock, and under the bench for the first time as the Maple Leafs head coach. So Montreal is just a way better team than Toronto. So it's in Toronto, but I still expect Montreal to come out and win this game. So yeah.
Yeah, I think that Montreal will also win, great goaltending, some good offense, and I think Montreal could be a very good pick to win that Atlantic division, but the Lightning are still in that division, so that really gets in the way of a great chance for the Canadians to win that.
All right. Well, right now, end of the first period, Rangers are up 3-1 over the Hawks. Who do you think is? Do you think the Hawks are going to come back, or do you think the Rangers are going to hold on to that lead in Chicago?
Rangers, I think, have got this one in the bag. So, tough for the Hawks if they can't come back to lose their home opener, especially after raising the banner earlier in that night. Their Stanley Cup one. So, but I think Rangers have this one in the bag, but maybe 3-2 final. It's 3-1 right now, Rangers. So yeah.
Yeah, no one's really picking the Blackhawks to win because they're the Central Division because there's a lot of emerging talent teams like the Minnesota Wild. They did good last year. They played the Blackhawks and lost in the playoffs, but this year I think they've got a really stacked lineup and they could contend for the Central Division title, but then you also got teams like St. Louis and the Predators and the Stars who are all gonna want that title, and I think the Blackhawks might not be the favorite for that.
Yeah, and next team here we got the Vancouver Canucks versus the Calgary Flames.
I'm gonna have to go with probably the Flames in this one. Great season last year for the Flames, making the playoffs. A lot of young talent on this team that's starting to come to life, and maybe the Flames can make another deep playoff run this year with guys like Sean Monahan, Johnny Gaudreau, Sam Bennett. A lot of good guys out there. So I think the Flames are going to win this game. Canucks, they've also got some young guys like Bo Horvat. I'm man, I can't remember their new goalie off the top of my head, but they got rid of Eddie Lack. I can't even remember his name off the top of my head, but yeah, still Canucks I think are going to win this game. Flames are going to win this game. But yeah, going to be a good one there. Another big rivalry there as well too.
Yeah. And that goalie, sorry to interrupt, but sorry I didn't tell you, Ryan Miller.
Oh, I'm sorry. Yeah, I blanked on that one. Sorry about that.
What about you, Avery?
Yeah, I gotta agree with Matt. The Flames, they made it into the playoffs last year, and I think they're just a better team against a Vancouver team that's, mediocre. Yeah. They're not amazing.
Sorry, the guy I was thinking of in goal, going to be a good backup if Ryan Miller is hurt, is Jacob Markstrom. That's who I was thinking of. Yeah. Sorry.
Yeah.
All right, now let's move on to the latest game. So 10:30 Eastern time, but in my opinion, is going to be the best game of the night. Probably the biggest rivalry in the league to this date is the San Jose Sharks against the Los Angeles Kings, with Martin Jones in debut for the Sharks to come against his former team in the Staples Center. Who do you guys got?
I hate to go against my own team, but I think the Kings are going to win this game. Sharks and Kings opened the season last year. 4-zip. Sharks won in LA. Definitely a big win for this team to get off to the season. But, Martin Jones is playing against his former team. So it's going to be tough for him there in LA. There's definitely a lot of question with going for a guy who has less than 40 games of NHL experience as their number one goaltender. Definitely a big risk for the Sharks that could pay off, or it could really hurt this team. So for San Jose, they've got to just come out and play hard. Martin Jones has to be a crucial factor. Guys like Paul Martin, Joe Ward are new additions for this team. So, going to be a good game out there in LA. But I think the final score is going to be 3-2 Kings.
Yeah, I got to go with Matt there that the Kings are going to win. Obviously, the lead contender for the Pacific Division are the Ducks right now, but the Kings also have a very good chance, and they have a really good team this year. So I wouldn't be surprised if the Kings won. I'm going to say Kings 4-2. Jack?
Yeah, it's definitely a good prediction, but I think the Sharks are actually going to pull out the win this. A little bit of upset. I say Martin Jones is going to come up just big this season. I say Martin Jones could be, a huge player for the Sharks this year, and just turn all the, just anyone who's against him down. I think he's definitely going to be a great goalie, and I think he's going to lead the Sharks team to a possible playoff this year with some of the young guys as well, like, for example, like Mirko Mueller, a great defenseman, and I think he's going to turn into something someday for the Sharks team.
Yeah, Mueller didn't make the final roster, but a notable name who did make the final roster is actually playing on the first line tonight for the Sharks. is a Finnish forward by the name of Jonas Donski. The Sharks signed him last year to a deal, and obviously he played well enough in the preseason. So he's making his NHL debut tonight for the Sharks. Um, so yeah, congratulations to him. And he's playing on the first line too, so that's got to be really cool for him. So congratulations and best of luck to Mr. Donski tonight for the Sharks.
Yeah. So who are you guys' pick to win the cup this year?
Oh,
Man.
that's a tough one.
Yeah, early prediction. I'm gonna go ahead and go with I think real quick. Let's just go with division winners, and then let's say Stanley
Okay,
Cup.
sure.
So who should you know what? Let's just start off with the team like Atlantic. So that includes Montreal, Tampa Bay, Detroit, Ottawa, Boston, Florida, Toronto, Buffalo. Right now, I say a team that I think could possibly turn out to make the playoffs this year at least. Some team like Florida. I don't say they'll win the division, but they could
Right.
come close. But right now, I gotta go with the Montreal Canadiens to win it for a second straight year. I think Carey Price will go and win a second Vezina this year. With that confidence and maybe the confidence that they gained from that loss from Lightning in playoffs to just think to themselves, all right, we gotta take control of this league, and I think the Canadians are gonna win that Atlantic Division.
And for me, I'm going to have to go with the Lightning. I mean, this is a team last year that surprised everyone when they made a run for the Cup. Even myself, I was surprised at how well the Lightning played in the playoffs. And this year, I think it's going to be too tough for the Canadians to repeat. Carey Price has put up some really good numbers last year, 44 wins. But those are tough numbers to repeat in this Atlantic Division, and will certainly be between the Canadians and Lightning for the most part. But Lightning, they've got great young talent, guys like Tyler Johnson, Andre Palat, and some veteran help like Valtteri Filppula, and a guy in the middle like Steven Stamkos. And Ben Bishop, great goalie as well, can lead this team to a division title. And I think the Lightning certainly could be contenders for the Stanley Cup as well. So Lightning are my pick to win the division.
Yeah, I think so too. The Lightning are just a really good team right now. I mean, they were in the finals last year, and I think they're gonna get there again and possibly win the cup. So that's my pick for
Yeah.
Atlantic.
All right, let's move to Metropolitan. We got the Rangers, Islanders. We got the Capitals, Penguins, Blue Jackets, Devils, and then Hurricanes, Philadelphia. For me this year, I'm going to go ahead and I'm going to say the Penguins come up with a big season, especially with the addition of Phil Kessel. I think if Phil Kessel comes in there and just brings out a 70, 80-point season, the Penguins could even win the Stanley Cup this year. I think Kessel is really, a guy who's going to boost this Pittsburgh team. I mean, just think about it. They already got 98 points. With an addition of a top 10 player like Phil Kessel, that'll win them the division this year and possibly the President's Trophy. That's my prediction.
And yeah, like the Penguins, they have been a team that has not, since they won the cup back in 2009. An interesting fact about the Penguins is they have gotten eliminated in a worse round every year. So the Penguins, it's just tough for this team since they've been struggling in the playoffs so much. For me, that they could win the division, and this Atlantic Division is good too. A lot of this Eastern Conference teams have improved this season, so I think for the Penguins to go out and win the division is definitely a bold prediction. But then you've got the two New York teams. The Islanders are certainly an improving team, and so in the Rangers last year they won the President's Trophy. I think it's going to be the Islanders this year for the Atlantic Division. Certainly, I think the Penguins will finish second. Rangers third. All three teams, I think, will be really close. But the Islanders, they've had experience in the playoffs now for a couple of good years. So Islanders, I think, are going to win this division with the help of Tavares. Guys at defense like Travis Hamonic. This is a good Islanders team that I think is going to be underestimated by a lot of teams or analysis too. So yeah, I'm going to go with the Islanders for my Metropolitan Division.
Bold predictions for the Capitals this year. They always have really high standards, always coming into of the year. But yeah, I think I gotta go with the Rangers team right now, beating Chicago 3-1 and the reigning champs. In the season opener, that's pretty hard. So I think that it's gonna. My pick's the Rangers to win this division. They're a really good team, and I think they could most likely make it to their conference finals.
Let me just give an
Yeah.
honorable mention quick. Another team in the Metropolitan Division that I think is going to surprise a lot of people this year. The Columbus Blue Jackets. This team is looking really good with a new addition of Brandon Saad, and they've got guys like Dubinsky there as well, and a solid netminder in Bobrovsky. I think this Columbus team is gonna. This is a tough division, but I think Columbus is gonna make the playoffs this year. I don't think they're gonna win the division, but I think Columbus is gonna be a surprise team this year.
Yeah, all
All
right.
right, good predictions. Let's move on now to the Western Conference, where we have the Pacific, including the Anaheim Ducks, Vancouver Canucks, the Calgary Flames, Los Angeles Kings, San Jose Sharks, Edmonton Oilers, and the Arizona Coyotes. For me, this year, I gotta go with the Anaheim Ducks again this year. They didn't really lose anyone, and I believe they was it this year that they signed Kessler to a contract
No, that was
extension
last year.
but still, I still think with two of the top 10 centers in the league between Kessler and Getzlab, I definitely got to go with the Anaheim Ducks here win this division. But I gotta say, I think Calgary Flames are gonna come in second in that Pacific though, because they got some amazing young talent. And then in third, I probably gotta go with the San Jose Sharks. And right there, I gotta say LA is gonna get a wild card.
Yeah, so 4 Pacific Division teams. That's definitely a big prediction, but it's certainly possible. This Pacific Division last year wasn't all that it was expected to be. But I'm going to have to also agree with you on your division pick. I'm going to go with the Ducks as well. This team is loaded. Yes, they lost Matt Bolesky to Boston, I believe, in the offseason. But this team is still really good. And, Ryan Kessler, definitely they've got him. Some of the older guys like Getzlaff and Perry are certainly going to be a help. And they've got 2 very good, solid goaltenders, Frederick Anderson and John Gibson. So both these goalies, this is one of the teams, along with maybe Dallas, where they've got 2 consistent starters, which can really help them down the stretch. Whereas a team like San Jose, they've got 2 younger, more inexperienced goaltenders, which could either really help them, but most people would think it would really hurt them. So yeah, Ducks are my pick to win the Pacific.
Yeah, me too. They're just loaded. That's all I gotta say about that.
Yeah, all right. Let's move on to the last division here in the Central. I gotta go with my hometown favorites, and I gotta say the Wild are gonna. I say Dubnik comes up big, puts up another great year, makes a run for the Vezina. Probably not gonna win it if Carey Price is playing in this league, but I still gotta go with the Minnesota Wild and Devin Dubnik just running this Central Division. I mean, they really were only 5 wins away from being, the actual winners of the Central Division. So I
Guys,
say they
sorry to
are going to
interrupt
get.
you right here, but just want to let you know Dexter Fowler just hit a solo home run for the Cubs, so it's 4-0 right now. Sorry, go on. I just want to let you guys know.
But either way, Minnesota, I gotta go with them. I gotta say they're gonna come out on top, and I gotta say right behind them is gonna be probably Nashville. I think Nashville with Philip Forsberg is really gonna show up for them this season.
Yeah.
All right, I'll go ahead and make my central prediction. This is a big prediction, and a lot of people are probably going to think I'm nuts with this. I'm going to have to go with the Dallas Stars. I know this is a big, bold prediction, but, I mean, this Stars team to me is looking really good. They've got 2 great netminders with Kari Lehtinen, and they also got Antoniemi from the Sharks. They've got Patrick Sharp, another good young guy like Nishkinen should be a big help for this team. Obviously, Sagan is their star player, and Jamie Benn as well. This team to me just looks really good, and I think they're going to be another surprise team like the Blue Jackets.
Yeah.
Yes,
Don't forget Jason Spezza too.
Yeah, Jason Spezza, another good veteran guy to help out there. I know it's a big prediction to say the Stars are going to win the Central with how loaded it is, like with Nashville, St. Louis, Chicago. But I think the Stars. I really do believe in this team this year, so they're my pick to win the Central, and to finish second and third. I think the Wild are going to finish second as well. I think this team is finally going to make a deep postseason run, playoff run. I think they can maybe get to the conference finals this year. I would love to see that from this team, and I think the Blackhawks or Blues are going to finish third. But this is a really tough Western Conference to predict. So yeah, we'll just have to wait and see what happens.
Yeah, and it's very hard to predict. I'm gonna go with the Wild, like Jack said. Gotta go with the hometown team, and the Wild are just really good. They did well last year, beating the Blues in the playoffs. So I think that the Wilds, I think Gary Dubnik's gonna have another good season, and I think that just overall the Wild are a good team, and Blackhawks, I just don't have much expectations for them or the Predators.
All right. Is there anything else you guys want to get to? Maybe some smaller news.
Well, like I said, we were gonna do the predictions for the Central or just the divisions in general. So now let's just say one quick. Who do you guys got for the Stanley Cup this year?
Ooh, I think it's gonna be one of the division winners for sure. For the first time in 8 years, 9 years by the time, I think the Ducks are gonna win another Stanley Cup.
Exactly.
This is a tough team, but this team looks really good to me. They certainly, I think, are runaway winners in the Pacific again. And to me, Chicago definitely could be up there as repeats. I think we'll have maybe another. Hopefully, I'd like to see maybe Minnesota and Anaheim in the West Finals. I think that's certainly possible. But for the Wild to get there, they've got to get to that West Finals with Dubnyk. And, for the Blackhawks, for the Ducks, same kind of deal. They've got to get good goaltending with Anderson, who will be their number one guy. So, Ducks, and I'm going to say they are going to win over the Lightning in the Cup final this year.
Yeah, I definitely got to go with the Ducks against the Canadiens here in the finals this year. I say the Canadiens are going to go all the way this year to the Cup finals, but then they're going to take this loss the Canadiens are going to go, I don't know, I'm sorry, but the Canadiens are going to go all the way to the Cup finals this year and lose to the Ducks, I say.
Yeah, I gotta say the same thing as Matt said, Ducks and Lightning, but I'm actually gonna go with Tampa because I think Tampa has a really good team, great goaltending. I think Stamkos, he wants a cup, and I think they're gonna get it.
All right. When we come back, we will just have some very small news to get to, and then we will conclude things, and we will take a quick break. Welcome back, guys, to the Everything Sports Podcast. We are going to have Jack talk a little bit about fantasy football now.
All right, guys. So I just want to point out, maybe, three of probably the greatest games this week. And we got to start out with Devonta Freeman. Holy smokes, he was insanely good this week. Another huge week for him. He had 32.9 points. He rushed for 68 yards, received 81 yards, and had 3 rushing touchdowns. Last week he had about, I want to say 37 points as well. So he came up big with another big week. So that was a big game for him. And then there was a kicker, actually, who came in second even. And I believe his name was Santos. He's on the Bills.
Coyote Santos. Sorry to interrupt. Coyote Santos. He's on the Chiefs.
I mean, it was insane. He had a 27-point week. I mean, the Chiefs, they had 21 points. You think 3 touchdowns. No, those were all 7 field goals. And he had at least, I believe, 2 that were over 50 yards. So he was kicking the ball all day against Atlanta. And then number 3, we got to go in the rankings. This is Phillip Rivers from San Diego Chargers. He had 358 passing yards as well as 3 touchdowns. He had a humongous week there for the Chargers.
Woo.
And for those who don't know, this is a Yahoo Fantasy League, and there's no points per reception. But that was basically your recap of the top 3 players of the week in fantasy football.
Yeah, what I also wanted to talk about how good the how good Vincent Jackson did. I mean, 20 points. He really excelled last week, and I thought that he could even be your wide receiver number 2. Maybe a flex. I played him as a flex, and he was the highest scoring player on my team. And everyone else did pretty mediocre, but great performance by Vincent Jackson, and I think he is a really good receiver to have on your team.
Yeah, and just a little alert I'd like to point out. Des Bryant, who was injured for a while, Jerry Jones, in a radio interview, has announced that maybe after the team's Week 6 bye, he could be back already and on that field. So,
Yeah.
I mean, at one point they were saying he'd be out till Week 14, and now it's all the way down to Week 6 or Week 7, rather. And that broken foot seems to be, not as bad as it may seem. So we just gotta wait and see here.
Yeah. Another field goal kicker that had a pretty good performance was Hauschka and Tucker. They both did really well. Hauschka had 11 and Tucker had 15. So, I mean, it's an older topic because it was last Thursday night. But man, Justin Tucker, he's really clutch, and I think he's a great kicker to have.
Now let's talk about real quick who's gonna probably be some of the best players of the week. And right now, I got to go with Le'Veon Bell. He is an outstanding player. Last 2 weeks, 19 points, 21 points. He always projected to get this week 17 points. That is some of the highest projected running back, scores in this league. 17 points, that's just outstandingly high. Another guy who I think is going to step up is definitely Matt Forte. I say, they're saying 15 points, and I definitely could see that happening. He's a really good player. And, I could see Matt Forte coming out, maybe having a big week. And I also, one guy I see that might not do as well, though, is Andrew Luck. Because, although, he's a good quarterback, he might get you, 16, 17 points this week. But, I mean, with that injured shoulder, who knows? He could throw a pick or a couple of picks in the game against a pretty decent Houston team there in Texas. So we'll just have to wait and see till tomorrow night, actually, for the Thursday night football game.
Yeah.
My guy, sorry, I just want to go ahead, Avery, quick.
No, sorry.
My guy on the rise, I think, this week is TJ Yeldon, running back for the Jacksonville Jaguars. He did start out a little slow on the season, but he has consistently been improving his points per game. And they're playing the Tampa Bay defense this week, so I think this, for me, TJ Yeldon is going to be a big help for them, and definitely I think TJ Yeldon's an improving guy. He is my guy for the week.
Yeah, and on the flip side of that game is Doug Martin, who had a pretty impressive week last week. I think about 20 to 19 points. I'm not sure, but he had a touchdown and over 100 yards. So, is this the rise of the muscle hamster? I mean, it was against a really tough Carolina defense that has done really well, and now against a lackluster Jacksonville defense, I think he could have a great game, and yeah, I'm looking forward to watching the running backs in that game.
Uh-huh.
All right, so moving on to another topic that we forgot to discuss on Monday is the WNBA Finals, which are going on right now. 2 games already in the books. The Indiana Fever took the first, and then the Minnesota Lynx take the second. So the series is out of 5, and who do you guys got to win this?
I'm going with the Lynx right now.
I gotta
good
say
team
the
led
Lynx.
by Maya Moore, and definitely some other good players in there like Simone Augustus and Lindsay Whalen. So I think the Lynx are gonna pick up the W and go for another WNBA Finals win. I think it'll be their 3rd within 4 or 5 years. So I'd like to see my hometown team win that one.
Yeah, I totally gotta go with the Lynx because, to be honest, they lost the first game, but I just don't know if any team could really handle a team full of superstars like Maya Moore and Lindsay Whalen. They're just, to me, some of the greatest WNBA players already in down in history, and they're still in the youth of their career. Maya Moore, sorry. She's a UConn represent, part of that team that won almost 90 games straight, I believe. So she's definitely a great leader for this team.
Yeah, yeah. So, Jack, there's been a recent development about the FanDuel banning
Yeah.
players from playing other fantasy football, and other sports.
Yeah.
What do you got? What's that about?
FanDuel and okay, so FanDuel and DraftKings have actually banned all their employees to play any site such as that. They're obviously allowed to play regular like Yahoo Fantasy Football and all that, but they just can't play these types because apparently what happened is a DraftKings employee went on to the rival site, FanDuel, and put in a $25 entry, but apparently he got some inside information that there people are claiming to be cheating, and he ended up winning $350,000 in 1 week there, and I mean, it's one of those things where they give you $25 and you can pick your whole team, but Tom Brady could cost $15. So the thing about that is you gotta pick your team smartly, and apparently you got some inside information about guys who were supposed to be really good this week or something going on with that. So now a lot of people are claiming that stuff like DraftKings and FanDuel might even be a scam, and that's actually losing a lot of customers and fans for them, because both FanDuel and DraftKings are two privately owned industry leaders and are both valued more than $1 billion. So big companies who are just in a weird kind of crisis going on here. So they're still trying to figure out exactly what's going on, but right now it's New York, state of New York investigators who are all over this right now.
Yeah, yeah.
All right, guys. Well, I think that is going to conclude our podcast for this Wednesday. On Friday, we will have a lot to discuss with the postseason. We will talk about the NL wildcard game. And also on Thursday, the division series begins in the American League. So we will be reviewing those games. And on Friday, there is quite a few day games as well, as I think all 4 division series play on Friday. So we will have some games to talk about. Game 2s of the American League DS. So I think by the time we're there on Friday, we will have 2 games in the books to review for the American League Division Series. But as well, we've got college football to preview this weekend, and we will have some NFL to talk about the opening week of the NHL season as well. So that will conclude our episode. We hope to see you back here for Friday. Thanks for joining us on the Everything Sports Podcast. We are signing out.
Bye.